Sathya Sai Speaks, Volume 14, Chapter 9, Music of the Spirit. God is the echo of the hills, the flutter of the leaves, the whisper of men, the babble of children, the Om, divine sound, that is wafted everywhere. God is present in all places, but to recognize Him, saints have had to prescribe 1,000 methods. God is in everyone, yet He evades discovery by all but a few. Being all-powerful, He is the giver of all gifts, the providence bestowing upon us every means of sustenance. Sarvam avritya tishtati. He pervades all things. There is nothing except God. Nature is His manifestation. Man must recognize God in all human beings and in all else that exists. Since the jiva, individual being, limits his viewpoint to the physical frame he occupies and confines his attention and interest, love and attachment to a small circle of relations and friends, he limits God also to a certain name and form, and sees His compassion and grace, blessings and benediction, limited to a small circle of devotees who adore that specific name and form. Human desires are narrow, so He who grants fulfillment is also imagined to be narrow in His grace. Ideally, therefore, one should offer complete resignation and say, Thy will be done, asking not for this or that, for he possesses neither the wisdom nor the foresight to know what is truly best for him. Pranava, Om, is the Gita of God. The Bhagavad Gita teaches that envy and greed can be overcome by practicing love and attachment. People have themselves resolved upon a day as the birthday of the Bhagavad Gita, which they celebrate with pompous puja and speeches. In the midst of this confusion, the essential teachings of the Gita are ignored. When exactly did the Gita originate? What does the Gita mean? Literally, the word means song. Since God is omnipresent, the song of God too must be omnipresent. So in reality, Pranava, Om, is the Gita of God. God's song cannot be only for a few or only for some people or in a language understood only by one nation. Om is the universal, eternal, full of the essence of all spiritual significance. So Om alone can be the real Gita of God, and it can have no birthday that man should celebrate, having itself arisen before time began. Our self is resonant with Pranava, but amid the clamor of the marketplace and the noise of the commerce of life, our little selves are not able to hear it. Our own senses lay claim to our attention. Our minds crave for being let free among the pleasures of the outer world. Obviously, our passions and prejudices have to be calmed before we can hear Om, the song of the Lord that wells up from the heart. Do not accept even gratitude for service. March on with your eyes on the goal. Do not worry about the past, its mistakes and its failures. Do not follow the whims and fancies of the mind any longer. They will fill the ear with praise or blame and drag you away from the adhyatmic, spiritual path. Follow the call of the divine arising from the heart of all living beings. Serve them in an attitude of worship, not expecting something in return. Do not accept even gratitude, having dedicated all your acts to the indwelling God. This will purify you so that you shall be able to listen to the Soham that your breath repeats every moment. Soham transmutes itself into Om when the distinction between he and I has dissolved in the process of Samadhi. Believe that the Soham merging into Om is the Sai Tattvam, the Sai principle, which S stands for Sai, A for and I for the sadhaka, spiritual aspirant himself. Thus Sai in fact symbolizes the Vedic dictum Tattvam Asi, thou art that. In the first stage, the sadhaka says, I am in Sai. In the second stage, Sai is in me. And in the third and final stage, Sai and I are one. At that stage, the duality between the two has been shed. When truth strikes the individual like a bolt of lightning in the midst of dark clouds, it confers bliss, and in that moment of illumination, Om is revealed in all its grandeur. By practicing the teachings of Krishna, one gains that illumination. The Jnana Jyoti, wisdom of light, Om. Krishna's flute is the expression, the elucidation of the four Vedas, and Om is their quintessence. The letters A, U, and M, and the dot, signifying the reverberation of the sound in the depth of the heart, are symbolic of the four Vedas. Om is also symbolic of the Rama principle. The four brothers, Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, and Satrunga, represent the Rig, Yajur, Sam, and Atharvan Vedas. When man neglects the divine aspect of their nature and fails to pursue the sadhana, spiritual discipline, that ensures the awareness of the omnipresent and the omnipotent Om, he falls prey to the impulses and instincts that are dominated by the ego and develops faith in material gains. He spends his life amassing wealth, power, and authority over fellow beings and believes that holding others under his sway is a desirable achievement. Man knows so little of what is worth knowing. If there were a vacancy in heaven, man would surely apply for the position of God, for he believes that he has all the necessary attributes. He forgets that the real attribute for superiority is unshaken faith in one's atmic reality. Of what use is it to know yourself merely as a limited individual? It is like a so-called learned band of doctors knowing a bit here and a bit there, yet remaining ignorant of how to treat ailments like cancer or even the common cold. Science should teach man humility by revealing how little he truly knows of that which is worth knowing. The divine aspect of your personality will encourage humility, adherence to truth, love, eagerness to serve, fortitude, and detachment. Cherish the manifestation of these qualities in your life and practice them whenever you get a chance. The innate brotherhood that sanctifies the human race is destroyed by the weeds of envy that grow in the mind. These weeds ruin one's personality. They grow so widely that they strangle the individual himself. Sorrow is the shadow that haunts the ego. When a neighbor of yours grieves over the loss of a loved one, you console him. You tell him it is not wise to weep over worldly losses, that weeping cannot bring the departed one back. But when death visits your own family, you grieve so much that the same neighbor has to repeat the same argument to console you. All this happens because neither has developed faith in the Atman, and neither has God's name on the tongue and prema, love, in the heart. A man builds a nice house for himself and feels proud of the garden surrounding it, of the color effect in the interior painting, etc. If, during an election campaign, some urchins scribble slogans on the walls enclosing his garden, he flares up against them and threatens to trash the young villains for having damaged the immaculate whiteness of the wall. But once he sells the house and it no longer belongs to him, he is not affected in the least, even if the house is reduced to a heap of bricks. Such is the insidious effect of listening to the ego. Before you were born, you had no kith or kin. When you die, they leave you alone. Why then develop this bond with them just for a short intervening life? And for its sake, forget the very purpose for which this life has been granted. Always be conscious of the flimsiness of worldly achievements. Even as you use your talents, skills, and everything else to the best possible advantage in the service of God in man. Prashanti Nilayam, August 13th, 1978.